Pico, written and illustrated by Scott Shelton, and narrated by Kaylin Berry. In a tall oak tree lived a small bird named Pico. He was the youngest in his family. He couldn't wait until he could fly, because all his brothers and sisters had already left the nest. "The sun's up, Mama. Can I try to fly now?" Pico asked Mama Robin. "You can certainly give it a try," Mama Robin replied. Pico hopped out of his nest and walked to the edge of the tree branch. Oh, how high up it was, he thought. "Ready?" Mama Robin asked. "Ready," Pico said as he spread his wings. He flapped and jumped and flapped, but he did not fly. Mama Robin gave an encouraging smile and said, "Maybe tomorrow will be the day." Pico wanted to keep trying to fly, but Mama Robin had to leave to go find breakfast. Pico reluctantly walked back to his nest and climbed in. "I'll be back soon," Mama Robin called out as she flew away. "After a good breakfast, we will try again." But Pico did not want to wait. He wanted to fly now. He hopped out of the nest and walked to the end of the tree branch. Pico began to jump and flap and jump. Without warning, a strong gust of wind blew him off the tree branch. He flapped and flapped and flapped even harder, but he only kept falling down, 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 until he finally landed in some tall grass. While he stood there on the ground looking up, 2 squirrels ran by and wanted to play, but Pico only wanted to get back home to his nest. The squirrels showed him how easy they could run up and down the tree. But when Pico tried to run up the tree, he only fell back down. Since Pico was not much of a playful squirrel, the 2 squirrels ran off to play somewhere else, leaving Pico all alone. Just then, a butterfly flew by, dancing gracefully on the wind. Pico followed the butterfly, hoping he could learn how to fly from her. Miss Butterfly told Pico he will know when it's time, and he needs to be patient. Miss Butterfly told Pico how she was once a caterpillar stuck on the ground, but when the time was right, she made a cocoon and changed into a beautiful butterfly. She told him one day he would also see a change. "Be patient and keep trying," Miss Butterfly called out. Then she flew across the pond, but Pico could not follow her. Pico stood alone again, hopping and flapping, flapping and hopping. But he still did not fly. Pico was very hungry because he did not eat breakfast that morning. His stomach growled a little gurgling sound. Grrr. "Oh wow, you sound hungry," a friendly frog suddenly said as he hopped up to Pico. "Shh," the frog softly whispered. Just then, zap! His long, sticky tongue shot out of his mouth and caught a fly buzzing by. "That was amazing!" Pico shouted. The frog told Pico with a little practice he could teach him how to catch his next meal. The frog had him pretend twigs were worms. Pico would sneak up on the twigs and then bam! He would jump on top of them. After a little practice, Pico was ready. He had spotted a worm, slowly sneaked up on it. Bam! Pico had breakfast at last. Mama sure would be proud, Pico thought. Just then, drops of rain started to fall. The friendly frog pointed to a large red barn where Pico could stay safely out of the rain. Once Pico was inside the barn, the sky became very dark and the rain began to pour down. Lightning crashed. Boom! Lighting up the barn for an instant every time it sounded. Pico started to hear strange sounds. Whoosh, swoosh, whoosh. He saw a shadow flying above. What was it? It's coming closer. What could it be? "Hello, little one," a barn owl said as he lighted next to him. "You must be Pico." Barn Owl told Pico that Mama Robin was looking for him and was very worried. He kept Pico company all night during the storm, telling stories about the farm and his adventures. Barn Owl also warned Pico about the farmer's big orange cat that tries to catch little birds. While listening to the Barn Owl's fantastic stories, Pico drifted off into a peaceful sleep. Cock-a-doodle-doo, a rooster crowed and woke up Pico from his slumber. The rain had stopped and Pico was ready to go home. Barn Owl pointed to a group of trees at the edge of the farm and told Pico his home was past those trees and on the other side of the meadow. Pico wanted to try and fly home, so he took a deep breath and began to jump and flap and jump. But he only lifted off the ground a little bit. "You almost have it," Barn Owl exclaimed. "I don't think I will ever fly." Pico felt like crying. But the wise Barn Owl told Pico how it took days and days of trying before he could fly. "You need to be persistent," Barn Owl told Pico. "That means to always keep trying and always do your best." Pico felt much better after Barn Owl told him this and made up his mind to keep trying and never give up. Pico thanked Barn Owl and began his trip home, running, jumping, and flapping as he went on his way. "Just be careful of the farmer's cat," Barn Owl called out as Pico ran off into the distance. While running through the farm, Pico said hello to all the farm animals: pigs rolling in the mud, chickens pecking the ground, horses galloping in the field. Once past the farm, he went around the group of trees and into the meadow. Pico could see the tall oak tree across the meadow. He was now hopping and flapping and hopping, each time getting a little higher. He was so focused on flying, he did not look around to see the farmer's big orange cat had followed him. Slowly, the cat crept closer and closer. Finally, he was close enough to pounce on Pico. "Run, Pico!" he heard Mama Robin yell out. He looked around and saw Mama Robin swoop down and peck the big orange cat right on top of his head. Pico ran faster and faster and flapped harder and harder. But the cat was getting closer and closer and closer, until finally the big orange cat was close enough to pounce. He jumped high into the air. The cat's shadow surrounded Pico as he started to come down and was just about to land on top of the little bird. But Pico made one more jump and flapped as hard as he could. When the big orange cat landed, the only thing he caught was tall grass, because Pico went flying higher and higher and out of the cat's reach. He flew to the left and he flew to the right. He even flew in circles high in the air. Pico danced on the wind as he flew all the way across the meadow to the tall oak tree, his nest, and Mama Robin.